Effectively, the question is, how do you run a scientific system that is open to challenges from outside scientists, internal staff, its data, and from the very public it serves? So Jay, I'd like to start with the mission for NIH, which you mentioned earlier, to support research that advances the health and the longevity of the American public. And you started with the fact that the lifespan in the US had stalled from about 2010, but yet we've been investing $50 billion every year. And so I'm curious to get your take as to, is that a result of the priorities differing from the real world, or are we seeing diminishing returns at the moment?
Well, it's a complicated question, right? Because life expectancy is the outcome of a tremendous number of things. There's social factors, of course. There's decisions that people make about their own health that matter, as well as policy factors. But into that mix is the science that we do and how well that science translates over. If you look at European populations, their life expectancy has gone up over that same period. I tell Americans this, and people just don't believe it. Like, it's how come we fund all this science and it's the European populations that benefit from it, right? And it's not bad that European populations benefit from it. Science, as I said, is the inheritance of all humanity. But the issue is, why aren't Americans benefiting from it at the same level? And this is, by the way, this is like every population you look at, you see flatline life expectancy almost. And so, Patrick, I think the key thing there is what you said. It's an orientation of scientific investments to address the problems that Americans actually have, rather than I'm not against investments where we don't know for certain they're going to pay off. I've already made the case that we have to take these sort of intellectual risks. But I think that if you orient the intellectual risks in the direction of the problems that people have, that's how you start to address this life expectancy lag, this problem. You need to figure out ways to make the advances of science really meaningful for people, especially for Americans who have not benefited in the same way that I think many other places. Like, if you have lower prices for the innovations that come out of NIH research, that's at least one way to address this problem. So I say it's not just the science; there's a whole bunch of sort of social factors that go along with that are really sort of fundamental. And it's been really great to be part of an administration to work for Secretary Kennedy, for instance, whose only focus is to make America healthy. He gets so much grief for this goal, but the idea and the goal is, I think, a really unifying thing that should excite literally everybody.